Hello, I'm Javier Harkeen, and this is Harking Back, a podcast about the pop culture of a lifetime. Whose life? Mine. I'm going back through every year of being alive and finding out what was going on in that year. This week we are looking at 2002. Oh my god, that's so long ago. I was 20. I was 20 years old. I was in my second year of university. This is the very first time I would fall asleep in class. I'd always seen it in movies and seen other people fall asleep in class, and I always thought that is so rude, they're doing it on purpose. Until it happened to me. I decided to do computer science classes. I was going to say major, but do you major in New Zealand? I don't know. I don't think you do major anyway. I chose computer science classes, and there was one class about computer algorithms, and it was tough going. And it did not help that the lecturer was this guy, a German professor, and he had the most deep and monotone voice in the world. And I swear to God, I would turn up. And I think I was like Pavlov's dog about it. Like, I think I fell asleep once because I was really tired. And his voice was just... His voice should be like put onto an app to help people sleep. It should be a podcast. Like, my friend Dan Bain has got a podcast called Sleepy Time Mumbles. Check it out. It's a podcast designed for you to fall asleep to. And this guy should have his own podcast to help people fall asleep while talking about the computer algorithms. Like, his voice was deeper than I could do, and just was like this one note all the way through. I would fall asleep instantly. I would turn up and then I would wake up. I felt really bad. One time I did that thing, like, it was like a movie scene where you wake up and I had like the paper stuck to my face. I did that really, you snap awake out of a snore. And I had the paper stuck to my face. And I felt so bad. He would have been looking at me going, there's that fucking guy who falls asleep in all my classes. Why does he turn up? Anyway, I was doing that. I would fall asleep in classes. Other big things that happened that year. I broke up with my girlfriend because she moved away for a year. So it was a little bit like, you're going away. Yeah, we're going to break up. And I was a bit heartbroken. And it did not help that, let's just say she evidently got over me almost instantly. Let's just leave it there. It's quite heartbroken by that. Also on the weekends, I was working in a Greek restaurant. I started working in a Greek restaurant called the Santorini. I'd worked there for about already a year. I worked there because when I was in high school, when I was studying classics, at the end of the year, a classics teacher took us to this Greek restaurant, and we had such a great time. And they do dancing there. They kind of get up and do Greek dancing and stuff. And I thought this was great. I really joined it. And they said, hey, do you want a job here as a waiter? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great, because I like money and I need it. And it was really funny. When I was working there, they were like, you kind of look a little, you could pass for Greek. So if anyone asks, while you're working here, you're Greek, okay? To make us look more authentic. And I was like, sure. That sort of stuff would just not fly today. Can you imagine the scandal if some restaurant's headline, restaurant makes people change their ethnicity while they're at work? Can you imagine the backlash? But this was 20 years ago. They just said, you look Greek. When you're working here, if anyone asks if you're Greek, you just say you're Greek, okay? I was like, yeah. And they could have told me some phrases, because people would ask me like, oh, how do you say this in Greek? I would just make it up. I would make it up. We didn't have Google on our phones. Our phones were shit, okay? Our phones could barely handle 20 text messages. There was no way I was going to be able to Google. Of course, I could ask them, but like, people are coming up to you and I can't go, just give me a second, and come back and go, oh, this is how you say thank you or something. Anyway, part of my job there was to get people up to dance. And one tip, if you're trying to get a group of people up to do something like dance, you don't try and get the whole table up, especially Kiwis, because we're very reticent when it comes to, oh, fuck off, I'm not going to do some Greek dancing. No, get out of it, fuck off. They're really likely to not want to do it, okay? What you do is, rather than trying to get the whole table up, rather than trying to go like, okay, everyone stand up, what you do is you look around and you find there would always be someone that kind of wants to do it. And it was normally a girl, right? Normally, 90% of the time it was a girl, okay? And you could see that they wanted to do it. And what you do is you convince her. You say, would you like to come up? And of course, they would be like, yes, I kind of do, but I can't go. And they'd normally grab the girl that's next to them, their friend, or their man. What you do is you get them up, and then slowly you get this chain of people coming up. You find the person that wants to the most, then they get their next person up. And if they need a bit of convincing, then you go to them. You're, oh, come on, don't leave Rachel on her own. And you get them up. And then maybe they get more people up. And then what happens is it's all about the trickle effect. You don't try to get everyone up at once, and then you get those two people up, and then maybe someone at another table, that wanted to get up. You can see them. They go, oh shit, let's get up and dance. So we all kind of get up and we hold hands and we start doing this Greek dancing. That's how you do it. That's what I learned. And also every Friday and Saturday night at this restaurant, they would have this bit where they get as many people up as they could to do the Macarena, and I would have to lead the Macarena. I stood up on this barrel. And we had barrels there. And if there was a special occasion, we'd get people up to dance on the barrel if it was their birthday or anniversary or something. And we had the owner and his friend would play bazookas. These, is that what the name of it is? I hope it is. These Greek lyre guitar things, stringed instruments. And we'd say happy birthday. And then we'd get everyone up for the Macarena. And I'd have to lead the Macarena. And just getting people to come in on time. Oh my God. So bloody hard. And then we do a big Greek dance, kind of leading everyone around the restaurant. Everyone holds hands, like this big kind of like Greek dance chain through the restaurant, out onto the street. And then we'd finish off with a limbo competition. And for a while, I was okay at limbo. I would destroy my shoes because I would use the power slide technique, which some people would say, that's not pure limbo. But our waitresses, oh my God, one of our waitresses could limbo under a wine bottle. Like if you imagine the height of a wine bottle, and if you put a stick on top of that, they could limbo under that. It was amazing. Anyway, it taught me a lot about crowd management and how to get people to do things they are a bit reticent to do. Okay, let's talk about things that happened in 2002. Halle Berry becomes the first black woman to win the Best Actress Oscar for Monsters Ball. Good on you, Halle Berry. Well done. And then the next year, after she's the Best Actress, she makes Catwoman and then goes on to win the Razzie for the Worst Actress. That, which I just love, that you can be top of the world. You could be like the best actress in the world, and then in the space of a year or a bit, you can be the worst actress in the world. Well done, Halle Berry. And you know what? Fair play to her. She turned up to accept both awards. I think that's class. That she was like, yes, I got my best Oscar. I mean, I'm sure it would have been better for her the other way around, but still, even more credit to her that she was won Best Actress and then turned up to receive her Razzie for Worst Actress. That is well done, Halle Berry. It's the 2002 FIFA World Cup that year, held in Japan and Korea. South Korea. Do I need to point that out? It was Japan and South Korea that were hosting it. Imagine if North Korea was hosting too. How annoyed would you be if your game was drawn in Pyongyang and oh shit, we're going to go here. Ronaldo scored twice that year against Germany to win in the final. This is original Ronaldo, by the way. I don't know his first name, but he was just original Ronaldo, and that's why when Cristiano Ronaldo came out, everyone's called him Cristiano Ronaldo. The original Ronaldo. Now, I saw him in a charity match last year. He's put on so much weight. I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying it's amazing. And I understand it. From when you go from being a professional athlete and then retire, that's quite a shock for your body. Of course, it's going to put on a lot of weight because you've been used to this life of intense training every day. And just you got to take all these calories and everything. And then if you just stop, your body doesn't know what to do. It's clearly probably still craving all these calories from routine. And then it just stops and goes, oh, I guess we'll just start storing all these calories in your body for when you need them, right? Because I'm used to you needing lots of energy all the time. I totally get it. If I was a professional athlete, I would put on weight like that in my career, during my professional career. Also, during that World Cup, David Beckham has the faux hawk. Do you remember that? The David Beckham faux hawk, where it's still it's regular hair everywhere, but down the middle on the top, there's a faux hawk. Everyone, all the boys, including myself, I think I tried to rock a faux hawk for a little bit, and then I realized, it's not looking all right for me. So I just went with the stupid duck's ass, where you just stick the front up, and I stuck with that ever since. Stuck with that ever since. What else happened in 2000? This blew me away. Rosie O'Donnell comes out as gay. She's gay? I did not know Rosie O'Donnell is gay. I just didn't know. I didn't know, and she came out 22 years ago. Just didn't know. I guess I've not been following her career closely or her closely. She's gay. I didn't know. I found out now, today. Also in 2002, Lennox Lewis knocks out Mike Tyson. Now, I say this, I put this in, normally I'm not huge on the sports, but as the time of recording, what the YouTuber, I always get confused if he's Logan Paul or Jake Paul. There's two. Anyway, the YouTuber young guy that turned to boxing, didn't turn into boxing. He didn't embody boxing. He's about to fight Mike Tyson this weekend of time of recording, and it's such a lose-lose situation for him, because if he wins, well done, you knocked out a retired boxer, or you beat a retired boxer. Lennox Lewis knocks out Mike Tyson in 2002. Mike Tyson is 38 at that time, or around about. So this is 22 years later. So Mike Tyson, what I'm saying is he's late 50s. He's almost 60. So this dude, if you beat Mike Tyson, you beat a retired, past it boxer. Well done. How do you feel? And if you lose, you lost to a retired, past it boxer. How do you feel? Well done. I don't know why he's doing it. Money, of course. But, this guy already had all the money he needed. This is for bragging rights. And I don't know if there's anything to brag about, mate. It'd be like if Usain Bolt, was in his 60s. And I was like, yeah, I beat Usain Bolt in the 100 meters. It's like, dude, he retired years ago. What is there to brag about? And if you lost to a retired sprinter. Anyway, you get my point. In 2002, guys, pop culture couples are going crazy. Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake break up. What? No! How could they? They wore matching denim outfits to some event. So that's sad. But on happier note, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr., remember them? They get married in 2002, and they still are, I checked. They've been married for 22 years. Well done. 2002, also Michael Jackson. This is Michael Jackson dangles his baby over a balcony in Berlin. What are you doing, Michael? This was so weird. Remember, if you don't remember, Michael Jackson had a baby who was called Prince. I don't know. I don't care. And he was in a hotel room in Berlin, and he went out on the balcony with his baby, and he didn't want the people to see his baby's face, so he put a towel over the baby's head. So he's covering his baby's head. The baby's probably going, why? This is weird. Why are you covering my face? I can't see now. And also, Michael, all babies look exactly the same. They all look the same, okay? No one gave a shit what your baby looked like. Maybe the paparazzi did, but ultimately no one's going to go looking at your baby's face and go, oh my God, that is such a different baby's face. And then for some reason, so he brings him out, baby's covered up. We all thought, if anything, we thought the baby's deformed. Why is he covering the baby's face? And then, for some reason, he dangles the baby over the balcony barrier to get it closer to the crowds. Mate, you're fucking 5 stories up. We don't feel like, oh, I can see him better now. And anyway, his face the whole thing is so stupid. Michael, just stick to the songs. Stick to the songs and moonwalk. That's all we need you to do, okay? Because when you start improvising in your real life, this sort of shit happens. Don't need it. The whole thing was bizarre. Also in 2002, do you remember the SARS outbreak? There was a virus, SARS. This might sound familiar. It came out of China, spreads to 29 countries. And we heard about it, but it was everyone was like, oh, it's not coming to us. And most likely it didn't. And this is probably why no one thought COVID was going to be a big thing when it happened. Because people were like, oh, this sounds like SARS or bird flu or whatever it was. And we all thought, oh, we dealt with it. We didn't realize everyone in the world is going to have to go home for 2 years. In the world of TV, in 2002, the Osbournes debuts on MTV. Oh, God. If there was ever a piece of evidence you needed of don't do too many drugs, Ozzy Osbourne in this show is just a husk of a man. They need to use it. Don't every other advertising campaign against kids against drugs or something. Just play the Osbournes and go and show this is a guy who was a rock star. Okay, he had the best life. He had the best time of his life for 10, 15. I have no idea how long they toured. But this is the trade-off, guys. All right? However good, however hard you want to party for as long... You could party for a decade, let's say. As hard as anyone could. He's a fucking rock star in every sense of the word. This is what you end up with. He couldn't he couldn't speak. He could barely walk. He walked around like a zombie with sunglasses. It looked like if you asked him to make a piece of toast, it would be far too much for him. I want more series of over the hill musicians that just went way too hard, and like this is what they've ended up as. I really do. It was scary. It was actually sad. I felt really sorry for him. And he still had like pieces of rock star bling. Like he's like, where are my rings? It's really sad. In 2002, The Bachelor debuts. You know that TV show, The Bachelor? Annie loves this show. Like The Bachelorette, The Bachelor, The Golden Bachelor, where they said, let's do this with old people. And now we're currently watching The Golden Bachelorette, where they said, let's do it with an old lady. If you don't know The Bachelor, it's where a guy... when it's the original, The Bachelor was they got this guy that's a real catch, and then they got like 30 women who wanted to be on TV, but would say, I'm here looking for love. And this guy would date 30 women, so I'm guessing it was huge in Utah, and he'd slowly whittle it down till there was one, but it's ridiculous. But when I sometimes watch this with Annie, and the host, they've had two hosts. The current guy, he has, every time he comes out, I always just say, he has the easiest job on TV. He comes in and just says things that are incredibly obvious. Like at the rose ceremony, which is the elimination ceremony, he'll come out and he'll say, welcome, gentlemen, to the rose ceremony. Okay, if you don't get a rose, you're going home. And then he fucks off for about 10 minutes while they whittle it down, until there's one rose left, and then he comes out and he goes, gentlemen or ladies, this is the final rose. And then he leaves again. That's pretty much his job. And they fly him around the world to wherever they're filming the current episode. It is the easiest job on TV. My God, and they must be paying him so much. I don't know if I'd want that job because, yes, you get to travel around and it's so incredibly easy. I don't know if it's fulfilling at all. Like, does he walk off set and go like, yes, nailed that take? Is that good? Like, does he have to psych himself up? It feels like it's something that ultimately would have him 10 years down the line, like sitting in a bar drinking, going like, I said 2 lines for 10 years. That was my career. So that comes out in 2002. Also, American Idol debuts, and I don't think since the debut of American Idol, the world ever stopped looking for singers. My God, every show. How many singers are there left? Because if you look at from 22 years ago, American Idol, and since then, you had every American Idol since. Things like the X Factor, The Voice, The Got Talents. I know The Got Talents is a lot of things, but like, come on, half of them are singers. How many singers out there were good enough to fuel so many series, multiple series of different TV shows across the world as well? Like in the UK, they had the Idols. Did they? I don't know. They didn't have it. They had X Factor, definitely. Different shows like Popstar. Like, if aliens came down and saw the breadth of TV shows from 2002 till now, I'm sure they'd think like we are a society that is fueled by singers. Like they would have go, oh, clearly their energy source is singers. Like that must be what fuels their vehicles and war machines, because they clearly can't get enough singers. Anyway, can you tell I'm a little bit like, I don't think we need any more singers? And every series, they get like about 20 amazing singers, and where do they go? What happens to them? What happens to them after that? And like every single one of them is like, this is my dream, and this is what I meant to do. And it's always, I came from X background, and the only thing that got me out, / the only thing I ever wanted to do was sing. And they don't win it. I don't know, I think I've done some cruises with people that have been on these shows. I think they turned to cruise careers. I don't know. Anyway, I've little observation I've had, and yes, this might sound quite narcissistic, but having done cruising for about a year and a half, comedians, I think, are the only entertainers on the ships that are doing their own material, that are doing their, have written and are performing their own material. Because every other person, like every other piece of entertainment I've seen on cruise ships is musicians. And I remember talking to one musician, a singer, who was part of the company crew, because ships have their own young cast of very talented singers or dancers or whatever. And they said, "Oh, I'm part of the company here, but I'm writing my own cabaret." And I said, "Wow, that's cool. You're writing your own cabaret. Tell me about it." And they're like, "Yeah, so I'm really choosing which songs." And I was like, "Oh no. So you're not writing. You're choosing other people's songs. So I obviously didn't say this to their face, but I was thinking, you're not writing anything. You're choosing other people's hits. And trust me, there have been times where I wish I could just be like, hey, who would like to just hear something that you already love?" Anyway, that's my bitterness rant over. Okay, I'm done with the bitterness. Also, 2002, the first camera phone comes out. We get the very first camera phone. It was a Sanyo SCP-5300. And the resolution on it would have been horrendous. Remember your first camera phone? You could take a picture of your thumb and people would be like, "What am I looking at on this picture? What is it?" It was like it's like early computer graphics. The first camera phones, they were just absolutely unusable. Unusable. I mean, I wish I could still have access to the very first photos I would take on the camera phone, because everyone would have taken about 5 and then realized this is horrendous and not taken any more. All right, let's look at the songs that are going on in 2002. What's the music scene? The music scene in 2002 is it's a diverse canvas of broad strokes in every genre. This might be the peak of the kind of music celebrity era, because very soon after this, everyone just starts streaming music or downloading music instead of turning to like MTV or radio to consume their music. Things like, let's paint a picture. The songs that are going crazy in 2002, like things like "Soak Up the Sun" by Sheryl Crow. By the way, I love Sheryl Crow because she actually writes and plays her own songs, and they're great. Well done. 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton is huge. Remember that music video? She's just driving her piano around town. In the End by Linkin Park. Linkin Park, I feel like was foreshadowing the lead singer's suicide. Oh, by the way, should I say suicide? I hear that the word unalive is being used instead of suicide, but it means the same fucking thing. Like, Linkin Park were really foreshadowing a lot of like the demise of this lead singer. Demise sounds like a harsh word. I'm lingering too much on this. Like things like "In the End" and "In the End, it doesn't even matter." I feel like Linkin Park CDs might just be a giant long cry for help. Dark. Anyway, what else comes out? Avril Lavigne's "Complicated" is doing very well. I quite like Avril Lavigne. I really do. I don't care what you say. I like Avril Lavigne. I find her songs catchy and boppy and harmless. They're harmless, all right? That's what they are. Like Avril Lavigne, right? She was just going through her teenage phase. Other songs that are huge. "Hero" by Chad Kroeger. Also, I will talk about Chad Kroeger and Nickelback in just a second, but he's out there. 2 songs called Hero come out in 2002. "Hero" by Chad Kroeger, which was part of the Spider-Man soundtrack, and also "Hero" by Enrique Iglesias. That "I can be your hero, baby." That one. I hate the music video for this. I don't think I've seen music videos that are garish or that I don't get or that I wish were over. I've never hated a music video for this because it has got Enrique Iglesias acting and singing like. Okay, it's got Jennifer Love Hewitt and Enrique Iglesias acting. It's one of those music videos where it's got it like it's a mini movie. I hope Jennifer Love Hewitt got paid shitloads for this because she has to stare into Enrique Iglesias' eyes as he quote unquote serenades her as he pretends to die in a way that he believes is sexy. And I remember getting to the end of this music video and watching him dying in her arms while singing to her. And it's the first time I've understood why people throw things through their TV. Oh, go watch it and See if you can make it through without cringing. Let me know. 2002 is a year we can have such gentle touches of songs like Superman by Five for Fighting. You know, that one of I Can't Stand to Fly. That beautifully gentle, melodic piano hit by Five for Fighting, alongside songs like Move Bitch, Get Out the Way by Ludacris. And they're pretty much next to each other in the charts. What a time. What a time to be alive. Okay, let's look at the top 5 for songs of 2002. At number 5, Wherever You Will Go by The Calling. At number 4, Dilemma by Nelly. Feet, Kelly Rowland. I feel poor Kelly Rowland. This is around the time that Beyonce goes on her own and Destiny's Child breaks up. Kelly Rowland, no matter what she does, no matter however good she is, she will always just be the one who's like not quite Beyonce. She was always in Beyonce's shadow, and it's unfair, Kelly Rowland, and I see you. I see you there in that shadow. Also, by Nelly, at number 3 is Hot in Here. Hot in Her, because it's spelled Herrre. So Hot in Her. The lyrics for this are absolutely abysmal. Like, nobody is asking Nelly for a TED Talk in songwriting. How does it go? The chorus is, it's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. And then the girl says, I am getting hot, so I want to take my clothes off. Like, don't want a second draft on that, mate? No, just going to print, cut, that's it? Okay, we're going with it. It's so sad. This is the number 3 song of the year. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. Who says romance is dead? God, do I sound any older? At number 2 is Foolish by Ashanti. I didn't know the song. I went and listened to it. It's so very forgettable. It's nothing. It's a nothing song. And at number 1, This Is How You Remind Me by Nickelback. Nickelback is a band everyone loves to hate. I don't mind Nickelback. Like, this particular song I don't like. But Photograph and Rockstar and some of their other hits, I don't mind them. They're fine. They're fun. I actually find them quite enjoyable. If you hate Nickelback, ask yourself, why do you hate Nickelback? Is it just because everyone else hates Nickelback? Tell me why you hate Nickelback, and why, if for whatever reason you're giving, I bet you I could find 5 other bands that would fulfill that criteria, and I bet you don't hate them like you think you hate Nickelback. I think you've been indoctrinated. Those are the top 5 of the year, like, sure, whatevs. The 2 biggest songs for me that year were 2 songs that I thought were helping me get through my heartache. And they were Blurry by Puddle of Mud, because I was an angsty 20-year-old who had just had his heart broken. And the chorus of this song went, can you take it all away? Can you take it all away? The pain you gave to me. And I was just like, this song was written for me and my pain. And then that was through my wallowing phase. And then I remember driving from a friend's house one night, and then The Middle by Jimmy Eat World came on, and I was listening to it. I'd never heard the song, and I did that thing where you just listen to a song on the radio in your car, and you start like bopping your head along. You're like, yeah, this is good. I like this. This was my slowly getting out of it phase, because it starts with hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out and looked down on. And I was suddenly going Jimmy Eat World, you get me. You get me. I was pretty angsty, if you can't tell, in 2002. And those 2 songs spoke to me. Okay, let's have a look at video games. Gaming is exploding around this time. You know when they say that these days gaming is more lucrative than movies and music combined? I think around this time was when companies start going, oh, we can actually make so much money in gaming. So the landscape of gaming right now is Sega, however you want to say it, is pretty much out for the count. Nintendo is hanging on by a thread. PlayStation and an Xbox are the main event, whilst PC gaming is like China, just quietly taken over, out of the main gaze of the world, but assuming a lot of power. Some games I've played this year, I've given up on trying to find a top 5. It was just so hard to try and find them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe as we're getting closer and more modern times, I can find a top 5, but not this week, not happening. The best games I played this year, Mafia. The original. It's a game that kind of didn't have much fanfare at the time, but it was very good story. It was very well done. Imagine like GTA, but set in like Chicago 1930s style. So it was great. It was great. Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast comes out, and on PC, this was amazing. I think it was only available on PC. It was amazing because I got use of the console, and you could get to the programmer's commands. And what you could do, what I did was we finished this game, me and my friend, we finished this game solo. And then what you could do is just load up any level, any previous save game you had, and find a big space, and you'd open up the console, and you could type in programmer commands, and you could say, like, I want you to spawn this kind of enemy. And they just suddenly spawn in the game. And what you could do is you could bind that command to a key. So, like, let's say every time I press the letter T, I want a stormtrooper to appear. And suddenly you can fill this level up, or this space you've got 20 stormtroopers, 100 stormtroopers. Yeah? And I want this other key to spawn a Jedi, who's an ally in the game. And when you spawn a stormtrooper and a Jedi next to each other, they fight. Or you could spawn like an evil Jedi and a good Jedi. And you started like, that game where you could, Battle Simulator? You started doing that. So you're suddenly like, hey, could 100 stormtroopers take down Luke Skywalker? And brrr, you put it in there. And suddenly you're like, can I take on 20 evil Jedi? There you go, you put it on. And we had this little game where we'd do a challenge where we'd have the button spawn one evil Jedi, kill him, and then you'd spawn 2, and then 3, and you could see how far you could get. I think my record was about 25 evil Jedi. Anyway, watch out, ladies, I could take out 25 evil Jedi in this game where I found the programmer console codes. So hot. Virtua Fighter 4 comes out. Virtua Fighter is better than Tekken. I didn't get into Virtua Fighter until much later, but me and my good friend Gareth, we battled hard. So hard on this game. Tekken, you can get away with button mashing. Can't do that in Virtua Fighter. No. I will talk about that more next time because it becomes a bigger part of my life next year. How sad is that? Hey guys, stay tuned. I'm going to tell you about this Virtua Fighter, this fighting game that became a bigger part of my life. But it wasn't to be until the next chapter of my life. Stay tuned. Pretty sad. GTA Vice City comes out in 2002. This version of GTA, Grand Theft Auto, is where the game GTA starts to run away into a global phenomenon. Because suddenly it goes, what if we had all this amazing gameplay that we've already established in the previous game, but really made some bold choices? So they said, we're going to have an 80s setting. We're going to have 80s music. It's going to be like a Miami aesthetic. Big characters. And like big cast as well. Because while the previous game, GTA 3, was an innovative jump in terms of gameplay and mechanics, it lacked character. I mean, the protagonist in the original one, and the previous one, was mute, for fuck's sake. In this one, they went crazy with the voice cast. Like the main character, is voiced by Ray Liotta. The cast also has Dennis Hopper, Gary Busey, Jenna Jameson, Burt Reynolds, Danny Trejo. I loved this game. It's my favorite GTA, and it's the only one I ever 100% completed, because it was doable back then. Because I had time in between classes. Maybe I would have got better grades if I didn't have this game. Let's move on to movies. What a delight for movies this year. Like, while this year franchises will win out, there are so many amazing original movies here. And some that are so good they spawned their own franchises. And the box office in 2002 is fit and healthy. Like, some amazing movies come out in 2002, like Hero, that Chinese, it's the one with Jet Li, like wire work kung fu, but it's beautiful. You don't watch Hero for the wire work. You watch it for the color palettes and the direction. Like, this is an incredibly well produced movie. It's like moving art. It's beautiful, beautiful. City of God comes out, which is a Brazilian masterpiece, which is so bleak but so important to watch. It's very sad. It's about slum gangs in Sao Paulo or Rio. I can't remember which one it is, but childhood gangs, and it's really, really good. You must watch it if you haven't seen it. Catch Me If You Can comes out, which is a bit of a sleeper hit. Like, I remember no one ever talked about this when it came out at the movies, but once it got on like home rental, like, if you watched it, you suddenly were like, where the hell did this come from? This is so good. Like, look at this. Look at the team behind this. You've got Spielberg directing Tom Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio in this movie that also has Christopher Walken featuring in it. It is so good. It's based on a true story. It's very, very good. You see a lot. This is the movie where people would have gone like, okay, Leonardo DiCaprio, he's an up-and-coming actor. Is he just a flash in the pan? And they would have looked at this and gone, oh no, he is very good. Get him in good things. You know, he is more than just Titanic. Minority Report comes out in 2002, which I think is one of Tom Cruise's best films. For the, I don't know, 100 films Tom Cruise has done? He's been in so many. This one, again, is this directed by Spielberg as well? Oh God, I'm not going to Google it now because I'm just not going to stop. But Minority Report, again, a bit of a sleeper hit. I mean, it came out, I think it did okay at the box office. I saw it on Home Rental. It is so slick. The story in it is very good, and Tom Cruise gets to run around so much running in this. Colin Farrell is very good in it too. Chicago comes out with Richard Gere, Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones. The following year, it'll win Best Picture. And Chicago, if you don't, it's based on the musical, the play, and the musical is crazy because it flicks between real life and actually breaking the fourth wall, current show all the time. So it goes between like, hey, you're watching a show right now and we're doing a show for you right now because we're talking to you directly, to scenes. And it was always like, how would someone make a movie out of this? And they did it so well. They did it very, very well. And it flicks between those two seamlessly. Also, 2002, The Ring comes out. The Ring was the last scary movie I watched. I watched it and it scared. I've never liked scary movies, but everyone was talking about this movie. This is the one where there's a videotape, and if you watch it, you have to make someone else watch it within 7 days, or you die. Because once you finish watching it, like the phone rings and you pick it up and the voice just says 7 days, and then you must make someone else watch it to carry on the chain. Anyway, I watched it and I hated watching it. I did not enjoy it at all. I just spent the whole time absolutely bricking it. And I kid you not, the second we finished watching it, the phone rang and I screamed. I jumped up and screamed. I was like, that never again. I'm not watching any more scary movies. Some music stars have a go at movies in 2002. Britney Spears makes Crossroads. And I never watched it. Was it good? Were there any? I don't think it's a classic. And Eminem makes 8 Mile, which I still love. It's good. Some franchises that launched that year: The Transporter, The Bourne Identity, and Triple X, which was not. That's a bold title. Looking back on it, I'd never thought about it now until I wrote it down. XXX is the universal symbol for porn, and they went, no, it's going to be an action movie. How did they get this past producers? How many people went to go watch this movie disappointed? They were like, oh my God, finally, they made it. Porn, the movie. They're going like, why is Vin Diesel driving around lots? Anyway, The Bourne Identity was great. It spawns a franchise, as well it should. And I think this is the first time we see Matt Damon as an action star. Do you remember the first time you saw Nicolas Cage in Con Air and you're like, he's not an action star? It was a little bit like that with Matt Damon. Like, he's a spy? Matt Damon? Don't think so. And you watch it, it's like, oh yeah, he'll kick anyone's ass. The fights in this are great. They're really good. It's a good movie. Check it out. Matt Damon does a great job. He clearly trained for this. Kills a guy with a pencil in this one, does he? Or he fights a guy with a pencil. Ugh. It's very good. It's also got Clive Owen in it for a little bit. Super Troopers comes out in 2002, and Super Troopers might be one of the funniest movies I've ever watched, hands down. The biggest thing about Super Troopers is that the jokes and the script in this movie don't feel laboured or forced like other comedies around this time. Like, the characters and their excellent delivery mean that the jokes don't have to be hauled up or, like, you know, slammed in the viewer's face like in other comedies around, you know, the early noughties. They just come across as naturally funny. And there are so many jokes that are just throwaways that are just sprinkled through as well that are just so funny as well. I met the director of this, Jay Chandra, I'm going to say it terribly, Jay Chandra Sekhar, who's a comedian. I met him earlier this year. Gary and I were doing a solo show at Angel Comedy, and he was about to do one later on, and we were both in the green room, and I was like, hi. and we just got to talking, and I have never had to hold back nerding out so much. At the end, I said, "Hey, can I get a photo?" But like from the second I saw him, I was like, "Okay, don't freak out. He's about to go do a solo show. We're just two professionals hanging out in a green room. No reason to. Oh my god, it's the guy that directed Super Troopers." Yeah, I had like white knuckle restraining myself from going. This scene in Super Troopers where this happens and you've got the maple syrup. It's so funny. The intro, if you haven't seen Super Troopers, go watch the opening scene of Super Troopers is actually one of the funniest in the movie. And if you go watch it, you only need to watch 5 minutes of it to understand if you're going to love this movie or not. It is very funny, I think. Let's look at the top 5 movies of 2002. At number 5, Men in Black 2. Nah. You know you're in trouble when you essentially kill off a character or make them leave, like Tommy Lee Jones. At the end of Men in Black 1, they wipe his memory and he goes off to live a different life, right? Essentially killing off his character in a way. And in Men in Black 2, they go, how are we going to get him back? And they do this big convoluted thing, the deneuralizer. And like, as soon as you start doing that, you're in trouble. Same with Kingsman. You know when they killed Colin Firth in the first one and they brought him back literally from the dead? And the second one, you're in trouble. This is not going to go well. Speaking of second movies that didn't go well, number 4, Star Wars Episode 2. Oh God. Remember when we were talking about The Phantom Menace? I said I'm not going to rag on The Phantom Menace because there's so much of that on the internet already. Let's just talk about the good points. I thought I'd do the same for Episode 2. It's very hard to pick out things that I liked about Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Seeing lots of Jedi at the end, that was cool, I guess. But it was far too little too late. I mean, I remember in the cinema when Yoda pulls out his lightsaber and turns it on, everyone went crazy. But even then, I kind of realized this is a gimmick that's not going to save this movie. Like, it is just so complicated, this movie. So needlessly complicated. Because you killed off Darth Maul in the first one. You had a great villain with Darth Maul. He could have been the main villain for the prequel trilogy. You killed him off, and now you've got to come up with this complicated new villain, Count Dooku, who's also got 2 names for some reason. Is he Darth Tyrannus or is he Count Dooku? Just pick one name. Why does he have 2 names? Stop that. The whole assassination attempt at the top, like the bounty hunter, the assassin, Jango Fett, paid another assassin to do it for him? Why? Also, R2-D2 can fly? Why did you make him fly? That suddenly makes all of his appearance in the original trilogy, every time he's struggling, getting anywhere in the original trilogy, we just go, we know he can fly, why is he not flying? We do at least get some lovely memes out of this. That's one thing I can say about Episode 2. We get some nice memes out of this. And the famous "I hate sand" speech. God, I kind of hated this one. I really. This was the first Star Wars movie I walked out going like, okay, I'm really struggling to find things that I liked about this one. Yeah, let's move on. I can't anymore. I feel like it's draining me just talking about it. Number 3 in 2002, Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. This is where I think they really, once after the success of X-Men, they went like, oh my god, superhero movies. What have we got the rights for? And Sony went, well, we got Spider-Man. Do you think people know him? And they went, yes, absolutely. Hit me with it, and it was really good. It was very, very good. People liked it. Number 2, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Again, don't know anything about Harry Potter, but Potterheads are out there loving it. And number 1, Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. I mean, what a top 5. They're all franchise movies. Men in Black, Star Wars, Spider-Man, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, they're all franchises. And this is where studios, I think, are looking at the power of franchise movies. So if you want to look at it like a time when studios went, how many franchises can we make? And not to mention the other movies that I said that started franchises, The Bourne Identity, Triple X, what was the other one? The Transporter, that sort of thing. So at this point, maybe we start losing a bit of, like, from here on out, we start losing a little bit of originality because studios are suddenly falling over themselves going like, how many fucking Spider-Mans and Lord of the Rings movies and Star Wars movies can we make? Harry Potter is sitting pretty because they know at least they've already got like another 5 to make. So as long as like the core cast doesn't pull out, like let's pump these out as fast as we can. The Times Person of the Year, which is a category I started doing and I've stuck with, and I'm sticking with it, even though they're turning out to be things that they're not for me. They're not my wheelhouse. A lot of the time they're political, and this is not a political podcast. What is this podcast? It's a rambling podcast is what it is. Times Person of the Year in 2002 is the whistleblowers, the people that found things about the Enron accounting discrepancy scandal and the World.com fraud cases, and also the misinformation about 9/11. Good on your whistleblowers. I'm glad all those people got dealt with. Did they? I don't know. I'm sticking with it. This is the thing I said I'd do, and I'm going to stick with it every podcast. Also, personally, in 2002, what was going on with my life, personally, I did my first ever stand-up set in 2002. It was at an open mic at university. I think I did 5 minutes at an open mic. And I had been wanting to do it because I was slowly getting obsessed with stand-up. Like I said earlier, in my teens, I'd listened to Jerry Seinfeld's CD. And around this time, I am starting to try to listen to every piece of stand-up I can. And it's actually quite hard because there's no YouTube, there's no anything like that. There are some comedy programs, like some stand-up specials, very few and far between on TV. On Sky, they had this show called One Night Stand, so I try to watch that, but I think they kind of cancelled the series. At university, I get a login onto the servers that have like all the movies and all the, things that you shouldn't have. And on there are some clips of stand-up. I managed to find Chris Rock's special on there, Bigger and Blacker, and I listened to that over and over again, and I suddenly see the difference. These are the first 2 specials I've ever looked at, Jerry Seinfeld's and then Chris Rock's, and just seeing the difference between them, because Chris Rock's, on paper, Jerry Seinfeld's jokes are cleverer, but like Chris Rock's delivery is amazing. Like he just is so bombastic. He's like, these jokes are fired out of a cannon. They might not be as punchy as like Jerry Seinfeld, but they are shot with velocity and attitude and style. And just loving seeing the difference. So I do my first ever stand-up gig set. There's no way I got paid for it. I was so nervous, but I was so excited. I'd kept a book of things that I thought might be funny. And I tried out some things with my friends. I went round to their flat and we all had a few drinks, and I read some stuff out, and they'd either go, oh, that's kind of funny, or just sit there and just kind of cross that out. And, oh God, for instance, like one of the few things I can actually remember was like, I made a joke about like when you buy a chicken from the supermarket, like a cooked chicken, how they've tied its legs together. Right? And I was like, why have they tied it? It's so Jerry Seinfeld. I was like, why have they tied the legs together on this chicken? It's dead. Like you've massacred it, you've plucked it, you've cooked it for several hours in an oven. You've tied its ankles together. Why? It's not going anywhere. And they thought that was hilarious. And I think I said that during my first set, and it got nothing. It got absolutely nothing. So that was also the first time I realized that, when you're practicing something, it might not come across like it did during rehearsals. And there was nowhere to do this apart from an open mic. There was just no... Christchurch, New Zealand didn't have a comedy club. There was no... If you wanted to do stand-up, even if you wanted to watch stand-up, there was nowhere to do it. The closest thing they had was the improv show Scared Scriptless, but that was improv. So I did it, and I immediately wanted to do another one, and I think that's a real indication of if you want to do stand-up or not, because there are a lot of people that feel like they want to do it, and they do. If they do it a first time, and then they're kind of like, if they feel like they've scratched that itch, they don't want to be a comedian. They just wanted to do it. But the real indication is if you do it, And even if it goes badly, as soon as it's over, you cannot wait to do it again. That's what I felt like. And it was so frustrating because there was nowhere I could go. Like in London, if you are starting out, you can be doing open mics almost 7 nights a week. You know, sometimes on some nights you could do doing 2 a night. This finished for me, and I was like, I must do this again. And there was nowhere to do it. I had to wait for the next. This wasn't even a comedy night. It was a proper open mic, like anything you want. Like people came up and like did poetry they'd written, and some people went and sang a song, and I was like, I would like to do some comedy. So there was nowhere to do it. So yeah, that was very frustrating. So when people ask how long you've been going, or when did you do your first gig, I could be like, well, I did my first gig in 2002. When did you do your next one? 2003. Anyway, more about that next year, about how the Christchurch comedy scene slowly started forming. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I've been enjoying this a lot. I will catch you next time. Stay safe. See you later. Bye.